I am a firm believer that the best way to learn is through playtime and experimentation. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to try two different patterns using fondant. So we're going to make two cakes, and I want you to tell me which one you think turned out the best. Hopefully, one of them turns out. I'm not so sure they will, but that's okay. I'm going to show you, even if it's a total disaster, because it's part of the fun, actually, right? So let's see. Let's start with cake number one. I have some green fondant, darker green and some lighter green. I'm going to take both pieces and I'm going to roll them into long ropes and then put them together, and I will show you up close how that looks. And I just wanted to mention that for these pattern cakes where the fondant needs to sort of stick together, I'm using a brand called Fantasia Fondant. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check them out. It works really great for this technique. All right, so I've taken some lengths that I've cut off this fatter coil and I've rolled them thinner, and I have a damp paper towel, very damp. I'm just gonna rub it along the length of the coil just to make it a little sticky. And I'm gonna press them together like so. And then I'm just going to make coils. Like that. Different sizes. This is just a blade. Sometimes you can roll it so the lighter green is on the outside. Sometimes roll it so the lighter green is on the inside. And then I'm going to end up sticking these all together. So I have rolled a bunch, and I'm just going to smush it together a little bit like this, and then we are going to roll it out. If it starts to come apart on the edges like this, I like to just overlap it and force it back together again. So as you roll, if there's any little gaps, you want to just take your fingers and sort of smush them back together and then continue rolling. Also, at this point, you want to check both sides because sometimes you'll like one side better than the other. If you want a full tutorial on how to fondant a cake, I have a video that shows the whole process, and I'll post it here. Okay, so before I totally show you what cake number one looks like standing still, let's do cake number two. And I'm going to show you some decorations too. For cake number two, we are going to do the same thing. Two very long coils of light and dark green fondant, but we're just going to arrange it a little bit differently and see what turns out better. Okay, so we've got our two coils. I rolled them kind of thin. And again, I'm going to just rub the surface with a damp paper towel just to get them a little bit sticky. Then I'm going to smush them together like so. All right, so here's the experiment. Is this going to work? I don't know. So I want to do like a zigzaggy sort of situation, going back and forth. And I've kind of done this before. It was with several colors. So I don't know how it's going to translate. Okay, so I'm zigzagging them. But at the same time, thinking I want to make it go into a spiral. So let's see how that works. Whoops. Is it going to work? Who knows? I think it's just going to look kind of willy-nilly. When we get to the end, we'll just add on. We'll roll out more coils and we'll add on here. Okay, so we've got this. Looks rather brain-like. I'm going to smush it all together and roll it out. I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you have any predictions of which one's going to look better? Okay, so after covering cake 1 and 2, what I decided before I'm going to show you is that cake 1 and 2 turned out to be quite similar, more similar than I expected. So I'm going to try for a cake number 3 with the scraps that I have, maybe introducing white into the picture. See how that goes. Okay, so without even mixing the light and the dark green together, I just rolled this into a long rope. Once again, we're going to try with the ropes because that's what we're experimenting with today. Running it with a paper towel. Stick these together. We're just going to make one long spiral and then roll that out. What's that going to look like? We're going to start at one end. Do we think that's going to look nice on a cake? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I hope so. This is what we've got. Now, before I show you all 3 cakes side by side, so you can let me know which one you like the best, I'm going to show you how I made some of the decorations. They are these little balls that are going to go cascading down the front. And I've put some gloves on, but you always work with very clean hands. And the reason why, in particular, I like to use the gloves when I'm working with these Rice Krispie treats is because the gloves help you roll the Krispie treats into smoother balls. And somehow it just gets rid of the lumps a little easier. So I used, as I tore it open, these pre-packaged Rice Krispie treats. I always keep some on hand for decoration, for figurines and things like this. So you don't have to whip up a batch of Krispie treats every time you need just a little bit. Just keep some on hand. So you just roll a ball, easy as that. Now let me show you. All right, so we have the rice cereal treat ball, and I have some red and white fondant that I just very randomly grabbed a ball of red, grabbed a ball of white. And then all you're going to do is flatten it out into a little disc. Stuff your ball inside, and you are going to just work this up the sides. Like so, until it meets in the back. That. And then you're just gonna roll. And that's how easy it is to make little pretty lightweight fondant balls that can cascade down the front of your cake. Okay, I'm gonna show you one of the things I find most satisfying. So this is edible disco dust. Just gonna pour a little bit of that onto some parchment paper. Then I have one of the Rice Krispie treat covered fondant balls. I'm gonna roll in the disco dust, just sort of like so. And then if you roll it in between your hands, it presses the disco dust into the ball and you get the shiniest little ball you've ever seen. Eee! I love doing this. All right, so before I put the decorations on, let's show you what the cakes look like. So this was cake number 1. Let me come a little closer. Cake number 1, we've got our swirls. Remember we did the coils. Okay, cake number 2, very similar, but not really the swirls. This one looks maybe a little more jungle, a little more camouflage. What do you think? So between 1 and 2, what would you lean toward? And then we've got cake 3, where we took the leftover green fondant and mixed in the white fondant and did a spiral. Do you have a favorite? Let's put the balls on and we can do our final vote, and you can let me know in the comments which one you think is best. Okay, it's time for our cake pageant. So Which one gets your vote? Cake number one. It's got the swirls. It's a little bit funky. Cake number two, very similar, just not as swirly. Maybe a little more botanical looking. And cake number three, introduce a third color. We've got the wraparound striped swirls. Do you have a favorite? Let me know in the comments.